So, hello everybody. We're here again with Lean 7 Waste videos, and today I have the pleasure to receive here a great friend, Stefano, from the Agile Coach team. So, Stefano, please, can you introduce yourself and to everybody know you a little bit more?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Joao. So nice to be here with you today, talking about waste in software development. This is one of my first agile loves, and I'm really glad to be here. I'm an agile coach here in Vitbel. I've been here, not for so long. It's just less than 6 months, but I'm really happy to be here. And we're going to talk something I'm really interested in, and so really happy to be here with you.
Cool. So, let's tell to everybody the waste we're talking about. We are going to talk about defects, bugs, or these kind of things. So, uh, as we usually start, Stefano, can you tell us a little bit what's this weight is all about? What's
Mhm.
defect is all about? Just to have everybody on the same page for that.
Yeah. Oh, defects are kind of one of the ways that can be uh, less framed in food words because it's obvious that if you have all right, let's start from what is about. Okay, we said we have defects when we have some software that doesn't work as expected. You have specification, you expect the software to behave in some way, and it doesn't. And obviously, there is a waste of the work. You spend time coding, trying to make things right, and then you test them and they don't work, and so you need to rework them. And this is the simplest, ways that you can identify, when you have defects. But there is more waste that also depends from different factors. For instance, one of the most important factors is time. When do you find, the waste, the defect? Because the more you find it, far away in time, the more it will cost you. It will also imply other kind of ways, like for instance, waiting. I will need to wait to have information. What is the context? What is the environment that the defect, was detected? Or I don't know, task switching. I'm working on something else, and then I need to work on the defect, so I'm forced to make some task switching. Or, for instance, we have not talked about this one, but hands off. Okay, someone gives me some information, but they have not enough. Something is lost, and so I need to relearn about the defect, and it takes time. So there are a lot of ways behind defects, more than just rework.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because it takes time to be fixed. It impacts in the customer experience. Uh, for example, our revenue or things that we're expecting can be lower than you're thinking about because the defects are there, so the experience of the customer is not good, and a poorer experience affects directly the results we expect from something. So it's why this weight is very important. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Uh, Stefano,
if I
we
can, sorry,
can go. You can
if
go.
I
You can go.
sorry, if I can add something more, it depends on the application, but you can also get into dangerous, defects. It depends on the kind of application. For instance, I've been working for some time with air traffic control. Defects can be really nasty there, or you can occur in uh, defects that have an impact on respecting some laws. So you can be subjected to fines from the government, or fines from your customer who has service level agreements that are not met because of the defect. So behind the rework and the waste, there's this kind of aspect that is really important.
Cool. And the second question, Stefano, is to instantiate a little bit more. Can you give us real world examples of this waste happening? It can be treated or from treated or not, good or bad examples while dealing with defects.
Well, I've got a few. There are some defects that are really difficult to avoid. It's not about having zero defects. It's quite impossible in software. The problem is having the ability to solve them fast. For instance, once uh, I was working for an airport and for a system for meteorological observations, and we had some external sensors that were connected through serial lines, But we also have the high availability system that was connected via serial line. And so we didn't consider the different configurations. We assumed, for instance, that in production we had a certain configuration for serial lines, and it wasn't. And so it was a mess. The service rebooted continuously all the time, and it took a long time to discover that bug, and it costed a lot. So it was really bad. Some defects that are related to configuration, real life configuration, production configuration, which is very often different from the ones where you test stuff. They are really difficult to spot and to solve most of the time. And there are some others that instead, are you know less difficult to spot, but then you ask yourself, why did I miss it? Why didn't I think about this test? So, for instance, it happened to me. I was working with a bank, and there were for the loans, okay, the loans application, and we realized that, for instance, that the quotation that you made before the loan acquisition was completely messed up. So the customer, in the end of the contract, paid a sum that was totally different from the quotation that he made at the beginning. So why didn't we spot them? And that this kind of failures, defects, are also, this is important. Defects help you improve, your software, the way you think of requirements, the way you see your software as a whole, because sometimes we are too much compartmental, and we work too much in silos, in compartments. So we don't think of the impacts or the connection between two different parts of the software, and the fact that they need to be, to work the same way, even if you develop them separately.
I remember also working for a big e-commerce in Brazil. Uh, we are close to a Black Friday. It was about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the Black Friday, and we made an update, and it created a problem. And yeah, 1 hour after our deployment, around 10 people from business area came to our table and said, okay, do you know if it happens in the Black Friday, how much we could lose 4 million per hour, for example. So this bug, if it happens 2 weeks after words, we in the Black Friday we can lost in selling for millions dollars per hour. So it's too much. Sometimes it's 2 or 3
Yeah,
lines of code that we didn't test that we didn't realize that it would affect the business,
yeah.
and it will make us lose money. So cool. Nice
Once I had
to
a bug that made the
yeah,
Fiumicino airport to be closed for 2 hours. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was
Uh,
really nasty.
Yeah. And last but not least, our last question is: as you are a very experienced at Agile code, and we are in Treatwell working directly with the teams with defects management and this kind of things. Do you have any tips for us to avoid this waste? Anything that you see in the field that can support us to be to avoid these wastes?
As we were saying before, um, it's quite impossible to have zero defects. The important thing is to spot defects as soon as possible, because the sooner you find them, the less they will cost. So it's really important to build quality in, to have continuous checks and feedbacks on the code. And it's really important to apply engineering practices that not only allow you to spot immediately or really soon the defects, but also allow you to structure the code and architecture in a way that it's really fast fixing them. You know, because it's not just about not having defects; it's about spotting them as soon as possible and solving them as soon as possible. And this comes only with really, I wouldn't say heavy, but really structured and also user-oriented approach. Okay, so it's about spending a little more sooner, being sure that your code is good and that you solve the problem you need to solve, and the software works as expected, and that you can change it if it doesn't work really soon, really fast, more than going in production and see what happens.
I really like the lean concept of stop the line. If you find a problem, just press the red button, see what you can do in the moment to fix it, to don't let it stay there longer, to avoid extra cost or things like that. So I guess it's a very good concept as well to remember when we are talking about wastes. So cool. Again, thank you very much, Stefano.
Thank you. It was really
It's a
nice.
pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. And yeah, see you. Thank you, everybody, for watching these. And see you in the next Waste from the Lean 7 Wastes on software development videos. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.